Hey, so you guys know I've been doing this for a long time, and I just had something that happened to me a couple weeks ago that is one of the coolest stories, probably the best thing I've ever had happen in my entire time being in this industry for approaching now 30 years. So I had a phone call that came in on a Friday evening. It was about 5 minutes before we went through and closed. Gentleman gets on the phone with me, and he's coming across, and I think it's a salesperson. So I'm just like, how do I get the phone? I'm ready to go home. And his name was Bill Ryan. Bill goes through and does it. He said he met me sometime in the past going through and doing it. I couldn't pinpoint exactly what he was going through and talking about, but he proceeded to tell me about his son being a U.S. Marine, had been going through a 2-month process to get a VA loan. It was all the way at the tail end of it, and they said VA's not going to work. We're going to have to convert this over to FHA. And Matt himself, asking Bill, was a 100% service connected disabled Marine Corps veteran. And I'm like, there never, ever would be an example that you could do a loan through FHA and not do it through VA. So Bill listened to what I was going through and said, relay that information to Matt. I went home with a little hostility in my heart, thinking, I hope this isn't happening to another fellow veteran again. Come Monday, talked to Matt, had great conversation with him, and I basically reiterated he doesn't know who I am, but I just said, their VA would never do that. In his own quest, hardcore Marine, I absolutely love it. He called VA in Denver, checked out the VA in the state of Oregon and what goes through and happening. The house he's buying is in Hillsboro, Oregon, and they came back and said, we would never have something like that. That would never be something we would say. A denial wouldn't come from VA. It's based on the lender. So they repeated my information of what I was going through and doing, and Matt kindly go through and sent over his paperwork that day. That physical day, we got everything there. We had it DU and LP approved. Fully going through and be able to do it. We, of course, had to marry it up with all the documentation. But none of that stuff that was coming back and was being said by them was what we saw. You never know really until you get fully engulfed into a transaction of what those final results are going to be. But everything that he was being told, VA won't do this, this and that. So I'm hot. I'm mad. I'm really upset. We go through to do this. And the fact of the matter, he was at the tail end of doing this FHA. Really fired us up and everything about it. My whole team got on board, and we were going to prove how quick we could get this transaction done. Never had an FHA or VA appraisal been involved in 2 months. We went through and immediately got that process started and ordered. Matt came back and said he was hearing from the other side, you guys aren't going to be able to do it. If we can't, VA can't do it, everything else about it. We look forward now just being, 2 weeks later in the future, Matt and his beautiful wife, Madeline, closed on that house. It's basically took place. It happened. They're in there. Everything else is good to go. And for them to go through, it's not the part that a lender's lending the money. A lender's allowed to do what lenders want to do. I mean, everyone has the right. If they're lending the money, they can give approval or give a denial. It's up to them to be able to take that, through the whole transaction. But the fact they blamed it on the VA is what made me the maddest, because it wasn't true. It wasn't VA. Now the VA gets a bad name into the future saying they won't go through and do it. You wouldn't do it, lender. You wouldn't go through and do it, not the VA. To go through and be able to prove this transaction and get it done, to see the warmth in both their hearts to be able to move into the house. I provide a little picture right here with their daughter Isabella on here, and the two dogs, what's Remington and Foxtrot. Just the happiest ever for a Marine to get in the house, to be able to get a VA loan. And the topper, this is the part that really go through and think about it. They would have paid, the percentage down, which would have been 3.5%. They would have paid much more in cost factor with the fees. VA didn't have a fee because he was service connected disabled. And the interest rate overall was higher. I don't know why. That's the lender thing. We were cheaper what he went through. But he saved $410 a month for every month he goes through and lives in that house to go through and do a VA. So that touched my heart, obviously touched his. He's very compassionate about it. And the fact of the matter, one of my favorite things he said to me today was Kerry, the craziest thing is our $3,000 earnest money, we got it all back. We weren't even expecting that too. So if anyone out there hears this message and are trying to talk out of doing VA or try to put into a different type of program, raise your hand. Look elsewhere. Make sure you go through and pursue that, because you don't know how many times I typically get this phone call after we've closed, after they've gone through and closed, and I'm like, no, that's not true. That wouldn't go through and happen. So I love Matt going through and providing this information, going through and doing it, and I'm so happy. and meeting your dad, Bill, years ago for 5 minutes, for him to retain my name, look me up, and go find us as a company at Creekside Mortgage. We're passionate towards our veteran. We're also passionate towards all of our loans. We want to go through and make sure we're putting the best product for you. And if we or they can't do it, I'll say that. I'll never blame a third-party agency or try to push the buck onto someone else. So hope you find it all as well, and I'm always here to go through and help. Thank you.